I'm Janet Bridgers with Earth Alert, and I'm pleased to share with you some of what I know about the past, present, and future of Ormond Beach in Ventura County, California. Ormond Beach is a coastal wetland located in the city of Oxnard and between the Ventura County Naval Base and Point Wainimi. Though rather small and just up the coast from Los Angeles, it is home to numerous endangered and threatened bird species. It is an important link on the Pacific Flyway, where for thousands of years, migrating birds have rested during their annual journeys. As many as 200 different bird species can be spotted here throughout the year. The area's combination of wetlands, uplands, dunes, and lagoons provide migrating birds with a safe and nourishing place. Ormond Beach did not remain a relatively vacant patch of land by accident. There have been numerous attempts over the past 35 years to develop it for uses that would have destroyed vital bird habitat. Fortunately, there have been humans, ordinary people, who recognized Ormond's value for wildlife and who took it upon themselves to step in and protect it for the birds. They became heroes. First, in 1990, it was the RV park in Point Wainimi, right on the beach. RV parks can be a nice place to spend vacation time, but this one was planned to be close to where the endangered California least tern nests. Alan Sanders and David Cantor got very busy, and although it took several years, with help from friends, they managed to elect new people to the city council, and eventually the new council defeated the RV project. Meanwhile, the Baldwin Company had proposed a massive housing project. Hundreds of homes to be built right in the middle of the Ormond Beach wetlands. Enter Roma Armbruster, a retired school teacher who, along with two other brave ladies, Jean Harris and Cynthia Leake, formed the first organization, Ormond Beach Observers, dedicated to protecting Ormond by educating people in Oxnard about how special Ormond was. Their efforts delayed the housing project long enough that the Baldwin Company went bankrupt, and the housing project never happened. The first purchase of land for preservation at Ormond Beach came on the heels of a plan to build a liquefied natural gas terminal alongside the power plant. Liquefied natural gas, or LNG, is supercooled natural gas that is highly explosive when it warms to air temperature. Their plan was to bring it ashore through pipes from giant specialized ships. It would have been used as fuel in the power plants, but community members and environmentalists working with the California Coastal Conservancy managed to outmaneuver Occidental Petroleum and Southern California Edison. They prevented the LNG terminal, and in 2002 were also able to buy 265 acres for preservation. This was a huge victory, both for the birds and the people. However, there were still other problems to address. The city of Oxnard made a huge mistake in the 1960s when it allowed Halico, a metals recycling company, to build a plant right next to the Ormond Beach wetlands. At that time, this was more than 60 years ago. The wetlands' unique qualities were not well known. Over time, in addition to air pollution, Halico's operations created a huge mound of toxic waste that still exists. Community and environmental groups lobbied local officials and the Federal Environmental Protection Agency to close the plant. Eventually, these legal issues caused the company to file for bankruptcy, and the company ended operations at the property in 2004. This was another major victory, not just for the birds, but also for the people living near the plant, whose air was contaminated by the toxic fumes released from melting the metals that were being recycled by the plant. In 2007, the state of California placed the Halico facility on its hazardous waste priority list. But the issue of how to remove the giant waste heap remains to this day. Still another challenge to the area came in the form of yet another housing project called South Shore, planned for an area just north of Wainimi Road. Though initially approved by the Oxnard City Council in the 2000s, it was later defeated by a judge's decision on a lawsuit that was brought by the Sierra Club. The judge agreed with the Sierra Club that the project would have placed too many humans and their pets too close to the endangered species of Ormond Beach, now protected by state and federal laws. Alan Sanders was the hero on that lawsuit, but he just did it for the birds. Perhaps the most dramatic victory scored for Ormond Beach came in 2007 when environmentalists and concerned citizens all the way from Malibu to Santa Barbara formed a coalition to defeat BHP Billiton, one of the world's largest mining and minerals companies. Billiton proposed to place an LNG terminal in nearby offshore waters. LNG cargoes were to be piped ashore near the power plant. After years of fighting the project, opponents cheered when the California State Lands Commission voted down the project based on air quality issues. These major victories were not the only challenges to Ormond that were overcome by the work of concerned citizens and environmental organizations. Beachgoers had to be discouraged from traipsing through the least turn's nest site. Hang gliders had to be banned from the beach. Vehicles and dogs had to be banned from the wet sand where they posed tremendous danger to the tiny western snowy plovers that nested and foraged near the high tide lines. Trash dumpers had to be educated that it was not an appropriate place to leave their discarded possessions. Over time, more land was secured and preservation efforts grew. The Nature Conservancy joined forces with the California Coastal Conservancy and the city of Oxnard to develop plans for restoring and protecting Ormond Beach. As one generation of activists passed the torch to the next, the wetlands remained a sanctuary where the rhythm of the seasons continued, birds arriving, departing, and returning again.
So Roma Armbruster met Jean Harris, who had already been working on Ormond Beach issues and taking people and leading tours out there for a decade. They met through the League of Women, oh, I'm sorry, I'm having it, Voters, thank you. And so Roma was encouraged by Jean to get more involved in Ormond Beach issues. And they formed the Ormond Beach Observers then in 1997. Roma had an incredible presence and was very articulate and convincing. She became chair of the Ormond Beach Observers, and the two women worked with Cynthia Leak, who was another very strong, and she was also in the League of Women Voters, very strong. So these three women just really pushed the city of Oxnard and other organizations to see and realize the importance of the Ormond Beach area.
I was elected in November of 2000 to the Board of Supervisors, and that spring, Roma Armbruster and Jean Harris alerted me to the efforts that they were making down here at Ormond Beach. That's back when the Halico site was still operating, and we had lots of problems down here, and they were two of the early founders of sort of the effort, the grassroots effort, to try to do something about it. So shortly after they alerted me to it, they brought me down here and we took a tour of the place, and I became sort of burned into my consciousness at that point in time.
We have been involved out here for about 30 years. Our Our mission, our priority for our chapter is protecting birds and habitat. And Ormond Beach is where there's nesting populations of western snowy plovers and least terns. Both are federally listed. So it's a chapter priority for us.
It could be argued that it would have never gotten as far as it did without the Saviors Road design team. So the Saviors Road design team was definitely front and center. When Carmen Ramirez was elected to the city council, arguably no one had ever been elected to the city council that had such a resoluteness and a focus to prioritize environmental issues and Ormond Beach like Carmen Ramirez. And so having that leadership on the city council level and then teaming up with community activists yielded very positive results. And I would argue that the Ormond Beach effort is perhaps one of the greatest participatory efforts of citizens on the Oxnard Plain ever to advocate a cause.
Over the years, I started loving this place a little bit more. And then when the homeless people were moving in, I stayed away from there and stayed over here. Of course, my car got broke into, and me being an ex-security guard, I decided to take it upon myself to protect this area. I figured take care of the parking lot. That means the birds and wildlife will be protected too.
The 2020 pandemic unexpectedly brought a positive impact to Ormond Beach. As young people, eager to escape isolation and boredom, flocked to the shoreline. In their search for relief, many took it upon themselves to clean up the beach, collecting litter and helping to preserve its natural beauty.
I grew up in this area, so I did a lot of just walking this beach in general, just cleaning up on my own. I'd always come out with some bags and clean up the beach whenever I had time. And I ran into this organization called Coastal Keepers as I was doing it. And that's pretty much how I ended up here.
Okay, my story with Ormond Beach, I would say, started as a young child where I just went to, we called it a secret beach because it was really private in a way where no one knew about it. It's tucked away. Fast forward into my college years, I finished my undergrad. I got a degree in sociology. It was late December, and I remember just going there more than often because the year was 2020. Everybody was supposed to be indoors and not really going out, but of course I got to go to the beach. Like, just how can I stay indoor all day? And there was a storm late December. I obviously take a break from visiting the beach, and when I come back, I noticed something different from the weeks before. There's just a lot of runoff trash from wherever it came from. Obviously, I assumed the water from the city washed into the sewers and then waterways and brought all the trash into the beach. And I took it upon my social medias and posted, hey, who wants to do a beach cleanup with me? So 2 days later, we show up down on the road and I say, hey, Walter, we're going to do a beach cleanup. And he's just so happy. All of us are excited. And we get out there, obviously, there's more trash than 4 people can handle.
The pandemic affected my relationship with Ormond Beach in a way that was kind of surprising to me. I had just started getting involved with Surfrider when the pandemic started, and they were doing cleanups, socially distanced, wearing masks. And so we were out cleaning up the beach every weekend and had a great group of people come out. We were able to be active, not locked up, not locked down, and it was a really amazing time to see how much we could do. We got over 30,000 pounds of trash off the beach that year.
I'm a resident first. I'm a retired surfer second, and it's kind of funny. I have way too much energy, and I get hurt now when I go surfing, so now it's easier and safer for me to pick up trash. I've been leading a Wainimi beach cleanup now for 8 years, and it brings us into Oxnard. We don't, borders are a place where people come together. And that's the way we look at it. And so we pay attention to the environment, and that involves both the city of Oxnard at Ormond Beach and Hueneme Beach. So yeah, I'm really thrilled with the amount of students that have gotten involved over the last 8 years. I've seen kids that are now graduated from college. 8 years is a pretty big swing for a teenager. So yeah, I think we have something special here, and I just look around right now, all the young people, all the people here making a difference, being part of the solution.
Surfrider has been involved at Ormond since 2020, and to date we've picked up over 68,000 pounds of trash just at our Surfrider cleanups alone. I think the biggest thing that keeps Surfrider involved out here at Ormond Beach is the fact that we continue to see a need for us to be out here, as well as other organizations. So every single time we have a cleanup out here, we're picking up 2,000, 3,000 pounds of trash. So until we see that there isn't a need for us to be out here, we're gonna be out here cleaning up.
When you think about it, I mean, Coastal Cleanup Day is a good activity for us to do, but it's really just symbolic of what we have to do year round. And we're doing it year round for these young people, because right now we're on a glide path to not leaving them the kind of earth that we should be proud of. And so let's make sure that we don't just thank you all for showing up today, but let's make sure we all rededicate ourselves to trying to make sure we do all the things we need to do to have this earth be a healthy place for them to be able to grow up. And with that, thank you all very much for being here today. It's great to have such a big turnout. It's the biggest registration turnout that we've had. Over 180 people have signed up to do coastal cleanup with us today. So
I am co-founder of an organization here in Port Hueneme called Friends of Ormond Beach. We established ourselves in 2019. One of our neighbors kind of introduced us to Ormond Beach and said, is anybody else upset with what's going on out here? And what he was distributing was a photo of someone who had dug a trench from the Ormond dunes out into the ocean, where it naturally breaches in December with the king tides and with the release of the water going down the waterways. And so someone had tried to prematurely, start that process. And I said, I'm upset. And another woman by the name of Joan Tharp said, I'm upset too. And so we went out there with David, and he showed us where this trench was. And we were astonished to see the trench and then the garbage that was out there.
I fell in love with the ocean. I fell in love being outdoors, and going to Channel Islands High School, which is the nearest high school near the base. I met a group of people like Raphael, and we would just go out to the beach together and just hang out. And Ormond Beach was just the beach to go to. Right now I'm going to Northridge, majoring in environmental occupational health. So that's also part of the reason why I'm more passionate and more driven to hopefully make a change with Ormond Beach, because I'm just learning about all these environmental laws and people's health too, how that can affect the communities nearby and how it can affect the environment. The Halico, there definitely needs to be more funding to really take care of that area, because not only there are encampments there nearby, it's just an unsafe place.
I think I started going to California Coastal Cleanup Day when I was like in the 6th or like the 8th grade. So I think from going to those yearly beach cleanups, because my parents would encourage us, my mom specifically, and my dad as well, really instill the value of giving back to my community in some way. Picking up trash, is the first step to creating solutions in our community. But you also get to see the amount of people that come out, even if it's for just one day out of the whole year. You see people, going out there, taking time out of their day to pick up trash. So I kind of always kept that with me, that my community, who I am is, I'm thankful for all my community has done, and my community has made me who I am. That's why I keep, coming out here.
The future of Ormond Beach is still unfolding. While challenges remain, a growing number of people recognize its significance and are committed to protecting it for generations to come.
So Ormond Beach, for me, I think that there is a great benefit to people's mental and spiritual and physical health. I think the ability for people to be in nature and see how it interacts, to see the coexistence of plants and animals and birds, to look at the water flow, how it comes in, how it changes over the years. Even just walking on the beach, looking at the tidal influence, how it changes the sand and sculpts the sand, to see how the amount of rack of flotsam jetsam that comes up on the beach and how that helps create insect life for the birds. My hopes for Ormond Beach are that there's a well-balanced program where people can come and enjoy wildlife, enjoy nature, and really learn something about nature and have something good to pass down to other generations, to new generations. My fears are that we don't have a land manager. Right now, that is, to me, very, very important. My fear is also that the grant money may not come through quickly enough, or they won't have enough money to move as quickly on the restoration project as we would like. I mean, this has been going on for over 20 years, which I realize these things take time, but I think it's long overdue. I'd like to see things speed up. So the land manager and the money for the restoration program. I'm also a little concerned about people loving the area to death. Access is really important, especially for our underserved neighborhoods in South Oxnard. On the other hand, we've seen what people can do to wildlife areas. So, hopefully it'll be well managed and welcomed.
I would like this Helico's slag heap to be removed once and for all. I know it'll be expensive, but that is my dream, is to get it out of there. I want people to feel safe there. I want to see that area of land healed. It's been too long. It's been blighted for so many decades, at least seven decades. It's time to clean it up.
It's funny with the Hueneme Beach cleanup, people come and they do just that. We call it wellness. So they take a bucket. They may be having a problem with their child, and so a mom and child will walk the beach with a bucket, and regardless of the amount of trash that you pick up, you realize that the islands, the serenity of this place, the wildlife, dolphins, seals, whales, birds of prey, white pelicans, snowy plovers, least terns, pelicans. There's a lot of good out here, and we just want to keep making it better. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? Be a part of something that's bigger than yourself and make a difference. Be a part of the solution.
I think that the possibility is very promising for endangered birds out here, and I think this is such a special place, not only in Ventura County, but in Southern California. It's got so much promise, so I'm optimistic.
It takes community support. That seems to be the most important factor. If a community will support acquisitions like this and the type of restoration that's needed, usually the politicians will fall in line, and of course the people in the resource agencies will usually express opinions that that's a good thing to do. So, but it's community involvement, and I would bet that most people out there have some environmental ethic. They would like to see places for wildlife to exist, and they would like to have places where they themselves can go and either recreate or just enjoy being in a wild place for some portion of their lives. But this isn't happening by itself. these places only get protected when people come forward, as did Roma Armbruster, and give of themselves to try to make it happen.
The future of Ormond Beach depends on both the physical and political presence of its community. Your voice and actions matter. Join beach cleanups regularly. Bring your friends and family to make an even bigger impact. Beyond that, take a simple but powerful step. Save your city council member's phone number in your contacts and call them from time to time. Share what you've observed at Ormond Beach, whether it's something positive, concerning, or just a general update. And if you're feeling bold, consider attending a city council meeting. Speaking during the public comment session might seem intimidating at first, but it's one of the most effective ways to ensure Ormond Beach stays on the city's radar. Whether you go alone or with a friend, your presence sends a message. This place matters. Keep up the pressure. The future of Ormond Beach is in your hands.